You've probably heard it right. Denmark, one of the safest countries globally.
Yeah.
But what does safe really mean when you're actually there walking around? Is it just about low crime stats, or is there, more to it? Today, we're doing a deep dive. We're looking at the practical side of safety for anyone visiting Denmark, and we'll focus a lot on Copenhagen, our plan, to get you past the headlines, give you some real actionable insights.
Yeah, and we've gathered info from all over, really. Official travel advice, sure, but also city guides, academic research on things like how cities are planned, public transport studies, and personal stories, too, from travelers, from people who live there. So it's a pretty rounded picture we're trying to build.
Exactly. The mission here is to give you that nuanced view, the full story on safety. We want to hand over those, like, golden nuggets of info so your trip isn't just safe, but actually, really enjoyable. Okay, so let's kick off with that big headline fact. Denmark is incredibly safe, ranks, what, 8th safest in the world right now?
That's right, 8th. Which is, well, it puts things in perspective when you see the U.S. ranked 132nd.
Wow, yeah, that's a huge gap. Definitely shapes your expectations.
It does. But it's really important to remember safe doesn't mean zero risk. While the overall crime rates are low, really low, you still see things like the U.S. State Department issuing a level 2 exercise increased caution advisory. It's not meant to scare anyone, but it's a reminder that even in super safe places, being aware is just smart. And here's a key thing. The crime rate is noticeably higher in Copenhagen compared to the rest of Denmark. For visitors, mostly what you might encounter in the city is street crime, petty theft. It's just an urban reality, I suppose.
That makes sense. The difference between the national picture and the city experience. So let's break that down for you. Listening right now, let's get practical. What are those actual, day-to-day safety things you might run into in Copenhagen? Where do we start?
Well, the number one issue for tourists tends to be petty crime, pickpocketing, purse snatching, that kind of thing. And it's not usually random. It clusters in those really busy spots. Think Copenhagen Central Station, City Hall Square, Striket, the big pedestrian shopping street, Copenhagen Airport even, and public transport too, buses, trains, definitely keep an eye out.
Right, so it's exploiting that feeling of being relaxed because you are in a safe city.
Yeah.
What sort of tactics do they use? Is it just a quick grab?
Often it's more about distraction. They rely on that. Thieves might work in pairs, maybe small groups. One person might barge into you or pretend to trip, just something to make you pause for a second.
Ah, okay.
And while you're distracted, someone else is quickly lifting your wallet or your phone. It's pretty classic. Plays on your instinct to help or check yourself. And another place people surprisingly let their guard down is hotel lobbies.
Really? Hotel lobbies?
Yeah. You get these well-dressed thieves who just blend right in. They look for unattended bags, especially laptop bags. People feel secure inside the hotel, So, rule of thumb, always use the hotel safe for your valuables. And if you've got a car, don't leave anything visible inside. Clear it out.
Okay, good tips. Beyond pickpockets, what about street scams? Are there common ones to watch out for?
Definitely. One you see, particularly on Strutret, is rigged gambling games. Card tricks, cup tricks, that sort of thing. They look easy, maybe fun, but they're designed so you lose. People have reported losing up to 500 Danish kroner pretty fast. It just plays on your curiosity.
Quick cash grabs.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's more elaborate, more focused on the distraction itself.
Exactly. Like the bird poo scam. It sounds weird, but...
Poo.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
Someone splashes some substance on you, makes it look like bird droppings. Then these overly helpful strangers appear, offering to help you clean it off. While you're flustered and cleaning, maybe taking your bag off, they use that moment to steal your valuables. It's coordinated.
Wow, that's incredibly sneaky. And it makes you wary of who to trust, even people offering help. What about people pretending to be officials, like police?
Yeah, that's another one. We've heard reports, tourists encountering fake police officers. They might demand an on-the-spot fine, maybe try to frisk you to rob you. Here's the crucial thing you need to remember. Real Danish police will never, ever ask for a bribe or demand an immediate cash fine on the street. Never.
So what should you do?
Always ask for identification. Firmly. And if you're still suspicious, just say you want to go to the nearest police station. Usually, if they're fake, they'll just back off right away.
Got it. Okay, super important. Now, let's talk specific areas, places where maybe you need a bit more awareness, starting with Freetown, Christiania. It's pretty famous, right? Sort of autonomous.
It is, yeah. Self-proclaimed autonomous state within Copenhagen. People call it mini Amsterdam sometimes because of the, well, open approach to marijuana. But while it's a unique place to see, you need to know that organized crime groups do operate around Pusher Street, which is the main drag there. That brings potential safety issues. And remember, whatever you see happening, possessing or dealing drugs is still illegal under Danish law.
And the residents themselves, they have very specific rules for visitors, especially in Pusher Street. I hear they're often posted right at the entrance.
They do. The main ones are absolutely no photos, no running, and no talking on your phone. They take these very seriously. It's just best to respect them if you go.
Good to know. Any other advice for Christiania?
Generally, it's advised not to walk around there alone after dark. And some female travelers have mentioned feeling a bit unsafe even during the day. So it's really about being aware of your surroundings and your own comfort level.
Okay. Moving beyond Christiania, our sources mention some other neighborhoods maybe facing different kinds of challenges, like parts of Nørrebro or Nordvest.
That's right. Areas like those, or around Blågårdsplads, Mjølner Park, these are often immigrant enclaves, and historically they've seen some issues with gang rivalries. There were reports of increased violence a few years back, for instance. It's not something tourists usually get caught up in, but it does mean exercising, a general heightened awareness, especially if you're there late at night.
And we also saw some reports. This is sensitive, but some sources mention non-European visitors occasionally feeling maybe some animosity or discrimination in Copenhagen, potentially linked to these local tensions.
Yes, those reports exist. It's important to acknowledge if you ever feel targeted or victimized, the advice is clear. Contact the local police, that's 112, or get in touch with your embassy.
Right. Okay. What about Vesterbro? I hear it's changing, gentrifying.
It is, yeah. But parts are still less affluent. You might encounter sex workers, drug users on the street. There have been shootings in the past. So, again, walking at night, just be cautious. If a situation feels off, remove yourself. Standard street smarts, really.
And a very specific heads up for Istedgade, right near Central Station.
Yes, that street has a reputation for homeless drug addicts and prostitutes. And one specific issue highlighted was that Black women might unfortunately be mistaken for sex workers there and could face aggressive approaches from men if they refuse. That's a serious concern.
Definitely something to be aware of. And then the more central crowded areas, like Gothersgade, Strogatz, City Hall Square late at night.
Yeah, especially on weekends. They can get packed with partygoers, people drinking. Most are just having fun, but sometimes you get people looking for fights. It's probably best just to avoid hanging around those spots late if you're not part of the nightlife scene yourself.
And quickly, outside Copenhagen, Aarhus, any specific advice there?
Just some general caution advised, particularly at night. Reports mention stumbling drunks, sometimes potentially aggressive football fans, maybe linked to far-right groups. Again, just a reminder that basic awareness applies everywhere.
Okay, so we've covered areas and specific crimes. Let's shift gears now to getting around. Transportation is huge in Copenhagen, right? Especially the bikes and public transport.
Oh, absolutely. Copenhagen is a city of cyclists. They are everywhere and they are serious about it. So whether you're cycling yourself or just walking near the bike lanes, you really need to be aware of them. Those lanes can be intense.
Huh? Yeah, I can imagine. So if you do decide to cycle, what are the key rules? Things that might be different from home?
Okay, essentials. Phone stays in your pocket. Lights on when it's dark, that's crucial. Unless you're overtaking someone, always keep to the right. Signaling is simple. Right hand out for a right turn, left hand up for left. Raise your left hand up to signal you're stopping.
And the left turn thing, that's
You're right. When you turn left, you don't just cut across traffic. You actually cross the first street, wait at the opposite corner, and then cross the second street with the traffic flow. 2 stages. Takes getting used to.
Okay, good to know. Any times to maybe avoid cycling?
Yeah, my advice, especially if you're not a super confident cyclist, is try to avoid the main roads during rush hour. So like 7:0 to 9:00 in the morning and maybe 3:0 to 5:00 in the afternoon. The bike lanes get incredibly busy with commuters who really know where they're going and go fast. It can be overwhelming. Exploring mid-morning or early afternoon is usually much calmer.
Wait, back up a second. You mentioned earlier that cyclists kind of rule the road. Pedestrians and cars have to yield to them. Is that right?
That's generally the case, yes. Cyclists often have the right of way. It's a big cultural shift for many visitors.
So what does that mean practically for someone walking around?
It means you always need to look for bikes, especially when stepping off a curb or crossing a street. The cycle lanes are often right next to the sidewalk. Don't just look for cars. Look for bikes, too. They can come up fast and quietly.
Got it. Crucial tip. Okay, moving to public transport buses, trains. You mentioned pickpockets earlier.
Yeah, definitely need to repeat that warning. They are active on buses, on trains, including the popular route between Copenhagen and Malmö in Sweden, and at the airport terminals too. Just because the system is efficient doesn't mean you can switch off your awareness.
And there was that interesting study, right, from DTU, the Technical University of Denmark,
Yeah.
about what makes people feel safe on public transport.
Yes, fascinating stuff. They found that your feeling of safety isn't just about being on the bus or train. It's the whole journey, door to door. Turns out only about 60% of your travel time is actually in the vehicle. The other 40% is getting to the station, waiting, transferring.
So the walk to the station matters just as much.
Exactly. Feeling safe at the station, on the platform, and on the route to the station is critical. Things like lighting make a huge difference. Denmark gets dark in winter, so unlit tunnels, isolated platforms, bus stops in the middle of nowhere. They can feel really unsafe, even if statistically they aren't.
The study also mentioned the surroundings of stations, didn't it? Like, people prefer lively areas.
Right. Passengers feel much more secure if the stations are near cafes, shops, apartments, or even just pleasant green spaces, rather than isolated next to, say, a huge deserted parking lot. Those empty spaces feel insecure, especially after dark.
Makes total sense. And this connects to how people get to the stations, too, mostly walking or cycling.
Yep, about 95% arrive by foot or bike. So the study highlighted that bike parking needs to be super close to the entrance, really well lit, and have a clear line of sight. If the bike racks are tucked away in some dark corner, people just won't feel safe leaving their bikes there or retrieving them late at night. It impacts the whole perception of the journey.
That's really insightful that a pleasant and safe walk or cycle to the station can actually make the whole trip feel shorter and better. It's designing for the human experience.
Precisely. And Copenhagen Metro is actually using these findings now. They're incorporating them into designs for new lines, like the M5, and improving bike parking, all aimed at boosting access and that feeling of security.
Okay, great practical info on getting around. Let's zoom out again now for the final part of our deep dive. We need to cover those broader security things, and health too. Give people the complete picture.
Right. So first, the terrorism threat. That level 2 advisory from the U.S. State Department does partly reflect concerns about terrorism. The reality is extremist groups are still potentially plotting attacks, often with little warning, so vigilance is important.
And the potential targets are pretty broad, aren't they? Basically anywhere people gather.
Yeah, tourist spots, transport hubs, markets, government buildings, hotels, clubs, restaurants, places of worship, parks, big events, schools, airports. The list covers most public spaces.
Is there a reason Denmark might be seen as a target?
There's some historical context. Denmark contributed troops to operations in Afghanistan and Iraq, was part of the anti-ISIS coalition, and then there was the controversy around the Muhammad cartoons back in 2005-2006. These factors are sometimes cited.
But Denmark has strong security agencies, right?
Absolutely. They have very sophisticated counterterrorism agencies, which makes large-scale coordinated attacks seem unlikely. The bigger concern, perhaps, is smaller-scale attacks, maybe lone wolf incidents. And naturally, the risk is considered higher in Copenhagen just because there are more potential targets and larger crowds.
Okay. What about other kinds of disruption, like social unrest or protests?
Yeah, protests do happen. You might see demonstrations by leftist or anti-globalization groups, sometimes in Nørrebro, or union protests, maybe rallies against government economic policies.
And sometimes related to religious or political tensions.
Potentially. Demonstrations by the Muslim community responding to events perceived as anti-Islamic, or conversely, far-right protests related to historical events. The advice is really simple, though. Just avoid public protests altogether. Even if they look peaceful, things can change quickly. Best to just steer clear.
Makes sense. Now, something maybe less obvious, but increasingly important. Cybersecurity.
Huge issue. Denmark has a national authority, the Center for Cybersecurity, the CFCS. They advise government and critical companies on defense against cyber attacks.
And what's the biggest threat they see?
They point to cyber espionage as the most severe threat right now. Foreign states trying to steal Danish intellectual property, business secrets. It's a constant, mostly invisible battle.
Have there been major incidents affecting Denmark?
Oh, yes. The huge shipping company Maersk got hit badly by the NotPetya ransomware back in 2017. Cost them something like $300 million. And just last year, January 2023, There were DDoS attacks, distributed denial of service against government, military, bank websites, allegedly linked to pro-Russian groups. That actually led Denmark to raise its official cyber threat level to high.
Wow. Okay, so if the national level threat is high, what does that mean for you as a traveler? What about personal digital safety?
Really important point. The advice is pretty practical. Firstly, think about what devices you really need to bring. Maybe fewer is better. Avoid carrying sensitive personal or work data if you don't absolutely need it. Log out of social media, banking apps, anything sensitive when you're not using them.
And be careful about sharing location online.
Definitely. Avoid posting your real-time location. Keep your devices physically with you. If you have to leave them unattended, power them down completely. Use a VPN, especially on public Wi-Fi. Keep your antivirus up to date. And always use the forget network option after using public Wi-Fi. It's about creating layers of defense for your data.
Solid advice. Okay, last big topic, health and medical care. What's the situation in Denmark?
The good news is medical care is excellent. International standard, mostly public hospitals and clinics. And a huge plus, most doctors speak English very well.
That's reassuring. What about emergency numbers? Crucial info.
Absolutely vital. Okay, 3 numbers to know. 112. That's for life-threatening emergencies only. Police, fire, ambulance. It's free to call. Then there's 1813. You must call this number first for non-life-threatening injuries or sudden illness before going to a hospital emergency department. Speak to a nurse or doctor first. They'll direct you. If you just show up, you might not get seen.
Okay, 112 for emergencies, 1813 to call before the emergency room for other urgent issues. What's the third?
114. That's for non-emergency contact with the police. So if you need to report something non-urgent, that's the number. Keep these saved somewhere.
They'll do. What about pharmacies or finding a doctor outside of emergencies?
There are 24-hour pharmacies. They're called apothek. Look for the green A sign. And yes, you can find private doctors who will do hotel or house calls if you need one, though that would be an out-of-pocket expense.
And vaccinations. Anything specific beyond the usual travel checks?
Always best to check with your own doctor well before you travel, as advice depends on your health, your trip duration, and exactly what you'll be doing. Standard recommendations often include ensuring hepatitis A and B and MMR are up to date. If you're spending a lot of time hiking in forests during tick season, they might mention tick-borne encephalitis or Lyme disease prevention. But yeah, personalized advice from your GP is key.
Got it. And finally, the basics, food and water.
Generally very safe. Food standards are high. And the tap water. Perfectly safe to drink. So you can definitely skip buying bottled water and just refill your own bottle.
Great. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the picture is pretty clear. Denmark offers this incredibly safe, really welcoming environment for visitors. But, like anywhere, really, knowing the local details, having that informed awareness, just makes the experience better and smoother.
Exactly that. Being proactive, understanding those little nuances, whether it's how the bike lanes work or where petty crime might be more common, or even thinking about cyber safety.
Yeah.
It really boosts your safety, sure, but also, just as importantly, your peace of mind. It lets you relax and actually enjoy being there, which is the whole point, right?
Absolutely. So, as we've explored today, safety isn't just about avoiding bad things happening. It's more about understanding the specific place you're in and kind of your role within it. So here's something to think about as we finish. Knowing that information changes and everyone's experience is personal. What unexpected part of travel safety beyond just the usual headlines will you maybe look into a bit deeper before your next trip?